everyone, Casey here at Home with Casey, and welcome to Wednesday, Tasty Tuesday. I apologize. Things have been really happening in the world, but I want to wish you all a happy autumnal equinox, which was yesterday. It is the change of the season. It is the time of harvest. And in all of our changes of season, whether it be the equinoxes or the solstices, it's really a time to look back on our lives and reflect. Reflect on what we've done, what we have, and how to take all those experiences and move forward. So today, I'd really like to talk about our food supply. Now, recently here in the Pacific Northwest and all along this western coastline, we've been experiencing fires. Now, people have lost their homes, their lives, and we have been affected by the smoke in the air, smoke and ash. So, which is also going to affect our food supply moving forward. Particularly, I'm concerned about wine, but that's another story altogether. But recently here in the Pacific Northwest, the air was just such that we could not even go outside. And now things are clearing up, but still our prayers go out to those that are still kind of suffering from all of what is happening in the world. Now, when we talk about our food supply and we move into harvest, or our fall season, it's a time to collect food and prep ourselves for winter. So when you look in your coffers, your cupboards, and we look at the food that we do have, the question is fresh, frozen, or canned? Well, that's the question. So when I'm ready to eat, I'm first going to look for what fresh foods that I have. Do I have salads? Do I have greens? Do I have, some proteins that are fresh? And then if I don't, usually we have something frozen in the freezer, some meat, some fish, maybe some frozen vegetables, or then we go to our canned supply. Now, let's talk about fresh. Fresh is best, right? We think fresh is full of nutritional value and it's just beautiful in color. And here in the autumn, we're going to get some really nice autumnal vegetables like our squashes and our potatoes and all of that. So now we're going to look to soup, stews, and some pastas really for that hearty meal. But fresh, as we know, the longer it's exposed to light and air, oxidizes. That's right. So when we think about the journey of a vegetable, right, it gets picked, it gets, then it gets stored, then it gets shipped, then it gets to our grocery store, then it gets laid out, then we go to the grocery store, we pick out what's best, then we bring it home, we put it in our refrigerator, then we cook it and we kill it, maybe with high heat. But so it could be that it's a week or two or more before we actually get this fresh produce into our pie holes, that we're eating it and we can glean the nutritional value. Well, again, as I said, the longer fruits and vegetables are exposed to light and air, they're going to lose their nutritional value. But don't get me wrong, fresh is always best. So then we get to frozen, and we kind of have this idea, some people may or may not have this idea, that frozen is not as nutritious as their fresh brethren. Well, it has been said and documented that frozen vegetables are frozen at their peak of freshness. They're picked and frozen, right? So they're going to retain their nutritional value. And they stay in the freezer maybe for about, 12 months if we're lucky. So you want to be mindful of that. So always having available to you when you can't get fresh or when you're trying to plan a meal on your busy schedule is to look in your freezer for some frozen vegetables, frozen fruit, and it's always good to keep those on hand. So don't despair about the nutritional value of your frozen brethren here. And then we go canned. Now, canned fruits and vegetables and proteins are really great, right? Because they have a longer shelf life. Your beans and your canned meats and things like that, right? So a lot of times our fresh or our canned vegetables are also canned at the height of their freshness, right? So there's no difference in the protein and carbohydrate and fat value of our fruits and vegetables, and even they'll retain their fat-soluble vitamins and minerals, like D, K, and E. But what happens with canned vegetables and fruits is that they're often heat is used in the process of canning, so it might diminish the value of the water-soluble vitamins like B and C. But so needless to say, your canned fruits and vegetables are still going to be okay and still be highly nutritious. Now, the one thing that you might be mindful of is BPP. So that is bisphenol A. Well, it's used to manufacture some sorts of plastic. It's a chemical that is used in the containers that we find our canned products. So what it can is our food will leach out these toxic chemicals, which can cause problems with blood pressure, cancer, memory loss, and things like that. So if you've ever read the materials on BPA, let me correct myself, is that their baby bottles and water bottles for drinking and exercise have been changed to be BPA free, which means that they're not going to leach those chemicals, in which they're safer. So that's just one concern. Also, with your canned vegetables, they are, for preservatives, they have a lot of sodium. So if you have high blood pressure, that might cause problems with hypertension and things like that. So you could rinse your beans and green beans and chickpeas and all that kind of stuff to kind of remove some of that sodium as a problem. But that being said, we all have busy lives, and as school has started, whether you're homeschooling or your kids actually go to school, God forbid, you're going to be busy planning meals and getting things ready to eat. So if you don't have fresh, it's okay. You got some frozen, right? And if all else fails, you got a pantry with a few items in your cans. So do not despair. Because what I have, when I was looking in my freezer, I have some frozen fruit that I use for my smoothies. I have a bag of frozen peas, and I also have some frozen salmon. So fish is another concern, right? Fresh is best, right? You think, oh, I'm going to have this really fresh fish. Well, think about that too, right? Fish is caught, it's got to be processed and then shipped and then gets wherever it goes. So the longer that fish gets to you, it'll be maybe a couple of days or could be even a week. So again, fish that is caught fresh is oftentimes frozen. But unless it's flash frozen at 40 degrees Celsius, it might have some ice crystals, which will affect the flesh and will affect the flavor of the fish. So a fish that is frozen, put on ice and then kind of frozen is kind of less nutritious or, probably tasting as a fish that is instantly frozen at 40 degrees Celsius. So there are some fishmongers or some boats that go out there, they catch the fish, they fillet it, bang, and they put it in the freezer. So when you're thinking about fresh or frozen, canned, they all have their nutritional values. They all have their pros and cons. But again, the goal is really to get a variety of fruits and vegetables, whether that to be fresh, frozen, or canned, and really think about the season. What are the vegetables? What are the produce? What's out there seasonally that you can take advantage of? I hope this has been helpful. Let me know what you are eating, what's in your pantry, what's your go-to meals when you're looking in your freezer, pantry, or your fridge, and how you maintain the nutritional value of the things that you're eating. Happy autumn, everyone. I'm Casey, at home with Casey. Please let me know what you're doing. This is a version of Tasty Tuesday. We'll be back again Friday with a message for the week. I'm Casey. Stay safe. Take care. See you soon.